If you're ready to change your life, smash that like button, subscribe, and don't look away, because this story might be the moment everything changes for you. The rain came down in cold sheets, soaking the cracked pavement and turning the streetlights into blurred halos of yellow. The city didn't care about him. The world didn't even seem to notice him. He sat on the edge of a broken concrete step outside a closed convenience store, his jacket thin, his shoes torn at the soles, his stomach empty. In his pocket were 12 cents, a crumpled bus ticket that had already expired, and a folded rejection letter from a warehouse job that didn't even pay minimum wage. His name was Evan Cole, and this was rock bottom. At 23 years old, Evan had nothing to show for his life except exhaustion and disappointment. No degree, no savings, no connections, no safety net. His phone was on 3% battery, and he hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. He had just been fired from the only job he managed to get in 3 months, a night shift cleaning company that didn't even bother explaining why. Budget cuts, they said. That was the excuse everyone used when they didn't care enough to explain. He watched cars pass by, their headlights slicing through the rain. Inside those cars were warm people, dry people, people going home to something, families, food, beds, purpose. He had none of it. Evan had grown up in a small town where dreams died early. His father left when he was 9. His mother worked 2 jobs and still couldn't keep the lights on some months. He learned early that life wasn't fair, it was survival. While other kids dreamed about becoming athletes, doctors, or entrepreneurs, Evan just wanted stability, a normal life, a steady income, a chance to breathe. But even that felt too big. School never worked for him. Not because he was dumb, because he was tired. Tired of being hungry. Tired of being stressed. Tired of worrying about eviction notices and unpaid bills. By 17, he dropped out and started working. Construction sites, fast food, warehouses, delivery jobs, any work that paid cash. Every job promised a future. Every job ended the same way. No growth, no respect, no escape. Failure followed him like a shadow. By 20, he had already been fired 6 times. By 22, he was sleeping on couches. By 23, he had nowhere left to go. That night in the rain, sitting on that broken step, something inside him cracked, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly. The kind of break that happens when someone is too tired to even feel pain anymore. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He didn't pray. He just stared at the wet street and whispered, "I can't live like this anymore." But the cruelest part of rock bottom isn't the pain. It's the silence. No one was coming to save him. No one was looking for him. No one even knew he was there. The next morning, Evan walked into a public library to get warm. He smelled like rain and sweat and exhaustion. People looked at him the way people look at someone they don't want to see. Quick glances, uncomfortable eyes, silent judgment. He sat at one of the old computers in the back. And that's where he saw it. A video. Not a motivational speech. Not a luxury lifestyle clip. Not a flashy success montage. Just a simple interview. A man sitting in a small office, wearing a cheap hoodie, talking about how he built an online business with nothing but a laptop and consistency. No hype. No fake promises. Just discipline. Learning. Failure. Repetition. Evan watched the full video. Then another. Then another. For 6 hours straight. He forgot about hunger. Forgot about the cold. Forgot about the world. For the first time in years, something inside him felt different. Not hope. Curiosity. That night, he slept on the floor of an abandoned apartment hallway. But his mind was louder than the city. Ideas. Thoughts. Questions. Possibilities. Fear. Doubt. People like me don't win. I don't have connections. I don't have money. I don't have talent. I don't have time. Every excuse fought for control. But there was another voice too. A quiet one. What if this is the only chance you'll ever get? The next morning, Evan walked into a pawn shop and sold the only valuable thing he owned. An old gaming console his mother had bought him years ago, before everything fell apart. He got $60 for it. With that money, he bought a cheap used laptop, a notebook, a prepaid internet card. That was it. No mentor, no coach, no investor, no support system. Just him and a decision. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Evan failed over and over again. He tried online freelancing. No clients. He tried e-commerce. No sales. He tried content creation. No views. He tried affiliate marketing. No clicks. Every attempt ended in silence. Rejection emails. Ignored messages. Zero notifications. Empty dashboards. He applied to 37 online jobs. Got 2 replies. Both said no. There were nights he slept hungry. Days he wanted to quit. Moments he almost sold the laptop. Weeks he thought he was delusional for believing any of this could work. The world didn't change. His life didn't change. His bank account stayed empty. But something else changed. Him. He stopped going out. Stopped wasting time. Stopped complaining. Stopped blaming the world. Every day looked the same. Library. Laptop. Notebook. Learning. Failing. Trying again. People around him thought he was crazy. You're wasting your time. Get a real job. This internet thing isn't for people like us. Be realistic. He heard it all. But he kept going. Not because he believed in success. Because he was more afraid of staying the same. Then one night, sitting alone in the library after closing time, Evan stared at his screen. Another failed attempt. Another zero result. Another dead end. His hands were shaking. His eyes were tired. His mind was exhausted. And in that moment, something shifted. Not motivation. Not inspiration. Clarity. He closed the laptop, pulled out his notebook, and wrote one sentence. I'm done trying random things. I'm building one thing, no matter how long it takes. That night, sitting in silence, with nothing but a broken past and an uncertain future, Evan made one decision. A decision that would change everything. And he didn't know it yet. But this was the last night he would ever feel this powerless again. The long road nobody sees. The decision didn't change anything overnight. The next morning, Evan woke up on a cold floor with a stiff neck, an empty stomach, and the same uncertainty pressing on his chest. The world hadn't magically opened its doors. No opportunities waited for him. No messages appeared. No money landed in his account. Nothing changed, except the way he looked at the struggle. He stopped chasing shortcuts. Instead of jumping from one idea to another, he chose one path and committed to it, building a faceless online media brand. Not because it was trendy, not because it was easy, but because it matched what he had: time, persistence, and a hunger to learn. Every day became a routine of discipline. He arrived at the library before opening and left just before closing. 10, sometimes 12 hours a day. Learning, watching tutorials, studying storytelling, editing videos, testing thumbnails, writing scripts, studying titles, studying psychology, studying attention. At first, nothing worked. His first video got 7 views. 5 of them were his own. The second video got 12 views. The third got 9. Days passed. Weeks passed. The numbers barely moved. But he kept going. Every night, he rewrote his scripts. Every morning, he redesigned thumbnails. Every afternoon, he analyzed what worked for others. Every evening, he uploaded again. There were moments when he almost laughed at himself. A grown man sitting in a public library, pouring everything into videos nobody watched. But deep inside, something burned. Not hope, resolve. Because quitting meant returning to a life he refused to accept. He studied successful creators like they were textbooks. Frame by frame, word by word. He dissected their hooks, pacing, tone, and emotional beats. He learned that attention wasn't luck, it was engineering. Every second mattered. Every word had weight. Slowly, painfully, his skills sharpened. His edits became tighter. His storytelling became stronger. His thumbnails became clearer. His titles became more intriguing. But still no results. Then, one night, 3 months in, exhaustion finally caught him. His body felt weak. His head throbbed. His hands trembled as he stared at the screen. The latest upload sat at 17 views after 48 hours. He closed the laptop, leaned back in the chair, and whispered, "What am I doing?" That night, he seriously considered quitting. Not dramatically, not emotionally, just realistically. He was tired. He was broke. He was alone. And nothing seemed to be working. But just as he stood up to leave, a notification popped up. One comment. From a stranger. "I don't know who you are, but this story helped me today. Thank you." Evan stared at the screen. Read it again. Then again. That single sentence did something no number ever could. It reminded him that impact didn't start with millions. It started with one. That night, he went back to work. Months passed. Evan started sleeping in a small abandoned office building with a broken heater and leaking pipes. During the day, he cleaned storage rooms and staircases for cash. At night, he worked on his channel. Sometimes he survived on cheap bread and instant noodles. Sometimes he went hungry. He lost weight. He lost sleep. He lost friends. But he gained something else. Momentum. One video hit 300 views. Then another reached 900. Then one crossed 2,000. Small numbers to the world. Massive numbers to him. His heart pounded every time he refreshed the page. It wasn't about fame. It was proof. Proof that someone somewhere was listening. Then came the video that changed the pace of everything. He spent 3 days on it. 3 days rewriting. 3 days editing. 3 days perfecting. He barely slept. When he finally uploaded, he didn't feel excited. He felt numb. Burnout had drained every emotion from him. He closed the laptop and went to clean office floors. When he came back that night, his phone was vibrating nonstop. Notifications, views, comments, subscribers. The video had crossed 50,000 views in 12 hours. His breath caught in his chest. He refreshed. 60,000, 75,000, 100,000. His hands shook as tears filled his eyes. For the first time in his life, something he created was being seen. Messages poured in. People sharing their struggles. People thanking him. People saying they felt understood. That night, Evan didn't sleep. He just sat there, staring at the screen, replaying the numbers, afraid it would all disappear if he blinked. But success, when it finally arrives, doesn't come gently. It arrives with pressure. Suddenly, expectations followed. More uploads. Better content. Higher quality. Faster turnaround. What once felt like freedom now felt like a weight. He pushed himself harder. 4 hours of sleep. Sometimes 3. Sometimes none. He wanted to prove he deserved the moment. But pressure has a cost. One night, while editing, his vision blurred. His chest tightened. His breathing grew shallow. His hands cramped. He slid down the wall, gasping, heart racing, convinced he was dying. A panic attack. The body's way of saying enough. Sitting on the floor, soaked in sweat, Evan realized he had replaced one form of suffering with another. Poverty had been replaced by obsession. And obsession was starting to break him. He slowed down, not in ambition, but in self-destruction. He restructured his schedule, balanced work and rest, focused on consistency instead of burnout. Progress became sustainable. And slowly, the channel grew. 10,000 subscribers, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000. Brands began reaching out. Sponsorship offers, affiliate partnerships, revenue streams. The same internet that once ignored him now wanted him. But with opportunity came temptation. Shortcuts, clickbait, misleading titles, cheap tricks. Money was within reach. All he had to do was compromise. But Evan remembered the nights on cold concrete. He remembered hunger. He remembered rejection. And he knew one thing. If he sold his integrity, he'd lose himself. So he stayed honest. Real stories, real emotions, real value. Growth slowed, but trust skyrocketed. And trust, he learned, was worth more than fast money. Then, one evening, a message landed in his inbox. Not from a brand, not from a fan, from his mother. She hadn't heard from him in months. He had been too ashamed to call when he was struggling, too busy to reach out once things improved. The message was short. I heard about your channel. I'm proud of you. I always believed in you. He stared at the screen, tears blurring the words. For years, he thought he had failed her. Now, for the first time, he felt like he was finally becoming someone she could believe in. But just as life began to stabilize, something unexpected happened. His channel was suddenly flagged. Multiple videos demonetized. Traffic dropped. Reach collapsed. Overnight, his income fell by nearly 70%. Bills piled up. Rent deadlines loomed. Pressure returned. The system that lifted him now threatened to crush him. And Evan realized something terrifying. His entire life was built on something he didn't control. One algorithm change. One policy shift. One platform decision. Everything could disappear. That night, sitting alone in his small apartment, staring at the flickering city lights, Evan faced another crossroads. Panic whispered, "Play it safe. Stick to what works. Don't take risks." But instinct whispered something louder. "Build something no one can take from you." And that was when he made his second life-altering decision. A decision that would risk everything he had built. A decision that could either destroy him completely or elevate him beyond anything he had ever imagined. The risk that changed everything. Evan didn't sleep that night. The city outside his window pulsed with distant sirens and humming traffic, but inside his small apartment, silence pressed against him. His laptop sat open on the desk, charts glowing faintly in the dark. The numbers told a brutal truth. The platform he had built his life on could collapse at any moment. Years of struggle, months of sacrifice, thousands of hours, all vulnerable to forces he couldn't control. He thought about the boy on the broken concrete step in the rain, the hunger, the loneliness, the rejection. He had climbed out of that pit once. But could he do it again? By dawn, exhaustion had carved shadows beneath his eyes, but clarity burned inside his chest. He needed ownership. Not views. Not subscribers. Not algorithms. Ownership. Something permanent. Something he controlled. Something that could never be taken away overnight. That morning, Evan began planning the biggest risk of his life. He poured every remaining dollar into building a digital platform of his own, a place where creators could learn storytelling, emotional branding, and sustainable online income without gimmicks or lies. No shortcuts. No fake promises. Just real skills, real systems, real growth. It was everything he believed in, and everything he could lose. Friends warned him. Industry contacts doubted him. Even supporters questioned his sanity. Why risk stability? You already made it. Why gamble everything? Because comfort terrified him more than failure. Because stagnation had nearly killed his spirit once. And because deep down, Evan knew this. The same hunger that had pulled him from nothing would never let him settle for safety. He worked harder than ever. 14-hour days. 16-hour days. Sometimes 18. He coded. He recorded. He edited. He wrote. He rewrote. Every lesson was built from his own scars. Every strategy came from failure. Every system was tested, broken, and rebuilt. He didn't sleep much. He barely ate. He lived in a world of caffeine, notebooks, and relentless focus. 3 months later, the platform launched. And almost no one showed up. Traffic trickled in slowly. Signups crawled. Sales barely moved. Doubt returned. Not loud. Not dramatic. Quiet. Persistent. Relentless. What if they're right? What if this was a mistake? What if I've finally gone too far? Bills came. Savings shrank. Pressure tightened. Then one morning, Evan woke up to thousands of notifications. His platform had been shared by a major creator. Traffic surged. Servers strained. Messages flooded in. Students from different countries. People in debt. Single parents. College dropouts. Factory workers. Dreamers. All searching for a way out. And for the first time, Evan realized something that shook him deeply. His struggle wasn't unique. Millions of people were living versions of his past. And now, He had the power to help them rewrite their future. The platform exploded. Thousands of users joined. Then tens of thousands. Then hundreds of thousands. Stories poured in. A woman who paid off her debt. A father who left a soul-crushing job. A teenager who funded his college. A mother who started a business after years of fear. Each message felt heavier than the last. Not because of pride. Because of responsibility. Evan worked relentlessly to maintain quality, support, and trust. He refused to let greed replace purpose. Every decision was weighed against one question. Does this genuinely help people? And because of that, loyalty followed. Revenue soared. Opportunities multiplied. Media outlets reached out. But the strangest part wasn't the money. It was walking into grocery stores without calculating every dollar. It was buying clothes without anxiety. It was sleeping in a warm bed without fear of eviction. It was calling his mother and saying, "You don't need to worry anymore." The boy who once had 12 cents now built something that changed lives. Years passed. Evan moved into a modest house. Not a mansion. Not a luxury compound. Just peace. He donated heavily, funded scholarships, built libraries, supported shelters. Quietly, without cameras. Because the world didn't need another flashy success story. It needed proof that transformation was possible. One afternoon, while organizing old boxes, Evan found his notebook, the one he had written in during those first brutal months. He opened it. The pages were filled with doubt, desperation, and raw honesty. But one sentence stood out. "I'm building one thing, no matter how long it takes." He smiled. That sentence had built an empire. But the story didn't end with success. It ended with understanding. That pain was never the enemy. Failure was never the obstacle. Fear was never the barrier. Quitting was. Evan often returned to that old convenience store, now renovated and bright. He would sit on a nearby bench, watching people pass, remembering the broken step where everything began. He realized something profound. Rock bottom hadn't been the worst moment of his life. It had been the most important, because without desperation, he never would have discovered discipline. Without hunger, he never would have developed drive. Without rejection, he never would have built resilience. Without loneliness, he never would have found purpose. Years later, standing on a stage before thousands, Evan closed his eyes and remembered the rain, the hunger, the silence. Then he spoke. Your worst day might be the beginning of your best life, but only if you refuse to quit. The audience stood. But somewhere out there, someone was sitting on a broken step, soaked in rain, holding nothing but doubt and exhaustion. And Evan hoped they would hear this story. Because the distance between failure and success isn't talent. It's persistence. And if this story moved something inside you, remember, your story isn't over yet. Not even close. If you think this journey was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe and stay hungry.